No Doubter Nation, good afternoon. It is Monday, May 30th, 2022, Memorial Day of this Memorial Day weekend, a day of which we give thanks and gratitude and remembrance of our nation's military and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice throughout our country's history to keep us safe from enemies, domestic and abroad. We cannot thank y'all enough, and it's the reason why we're able to do what we do here at No Doubter. And I am your co-host, Travis T-Bone Laughley. I'm going to be flying solo today on this college baseball recap as my co-host, Barrett Boombostic, is taking some much-needed time away to spend with the family this weekend. So you've got me today, and looking forward to talking some college baseball and the most beautiful time of year that I love here in this great sport, which is the postseason, and now the road to Omaha officially really getting underway and beginning here with regionals where it matters the most. So yes, as of this morning, the field of 64 was released. The 64 Division I college baseball teams across the U.S. that have punched their ticket into the 2022 NCAA tournament have earned a regional spot. That will begin this weekend. As this Friday, the regionals will begin. So we're going to talk about those teams here, preview them, that kind of some of the notable highlights that are going to be involved, taking a look across the bracket as a whole, taking a look at the teams that earn automatic bids into the tournament here through winning their conference tournament. And then talk about some notable, so just kind of some controversy around teams that got in that were very much borderline teams, and some notable teams that were left out of this tournament as well. Here, just very interesting in that regard, and kind of some thoughts I have around what we're seeing here, what ultimately kind of went down, and some commonalities across the sport of college baseball this year. And how and whether the NCAA committee is looking at the right things when it comes to getting the best teams possible into this tournament. So with that in mind, we're going to jump here first, taking a look at who were the automatic bid winners here, based on the conference tournaments played. So first out of the American Athletic Conference, you had East Carolina. They went on an absolute crazy run over the second half of the season. What looked like was a season just destined for disappointment and being dead in the water after huge expectations going to the beginning of the year and some notable series being dropped. They went hot through the remainder of the regular season, about halfway through, got into the conference tournament, went on a run, and ended up taking home the AAC crown over Houston in that tournament final. This will be their 33rd appearance in the NCAA tournament. Their previous being last year. Binghamton, out of the America East Conference, this will be their 6th appearance in the NCAA tournament, winning their tournament. They last appeared in 2016 in regionals. VCU, out of the Atlantic 10, this will be their 14th appearance. Their last was 2021. North Carolina is going to be having their 35th appearance of all time. This will be out of the ACC. They won 20. They were in the tournament last year in 2021. Kennesaw State, of the Atlantic Sun. This would be the 3rd ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. They previously had one back in 2014. The Oklahoma Sooners, out of the Big 12, won yesterday's matchup over the Texas Longhorns. This would be their 39th appearance here, their previous being in 2018. Connecticut, out of the Big East, be their 24th appearance of all time. Last year, we're also in the tournament. They won the Big East crown this year in the Big East tournament. Campbell, out of the Big South, took home that conference crown. This will be their 7th appearance. They were last in the tournament last year. Michigan, out of the Big Ten, be their 27th appearance of all time. They were also in the tournament last year. UC Santa Barbara in the tournament last year, out of the Big West. This will be their 14th appearance in the NCAA tournament. Hofstra, out of the Colonial. This will be their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. Congrats to Hofstra. Louisiana Tech won the Conference USA tournament crown, and they are going to regionals for the 10th time in program history. They were last in the tournament back in 2021. Wright State of the Horizon League winning their tournament is also another team previously appearing in regionals last year. Columbia, out of the Ivy League, congrats to them. The Ivy League making a return back to collegiate sports competition this school year after taking last year off due to the COVID pandemic. This will be their 8th appearance all time in regionals, their last appearance coming back in 2018. Central Michigan, the Mid-American Conference, 15. This will actually be their 16th ever appearance in regionals. They were last in the tournament last year as well. So yes, a little bit of action this year from their conference tournament, also getting them into regionals. Coppin State out of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Congratulations to Coppin State, a historically black college. They are making their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. Gotta love it for the guys that are getting a taste of this for the first time in the program, getting to experience it for the first time in their program history. Congrats to Coppin State. Missouri State out of the Missouri Valley Conference. This will be the 13th ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. They were last in back in 2018. Air Force won the Mountain West crown this year. This would be their 8th appearance in the NCAA tournament and their first since 1969, more than 50 years since that last appearance for the Falcons, one of our great military academies here in the United States. For those guys, playing baseball is the easiest thing that they do on a weekly basis. And we send our congrats to them for getting in the tournament this year. Long Island University out of the Northeast Conference. This will be their 3rd ever appearance in the NCAA tournament. Their last appearance coming back in 2018. Southeast Missouri State out of the Ohio Valley Conference. This will be their 6th all-time appearance in the NCAA tournament. They were also in last year as well. Stanford out of the Pac-12. I don't have the number down for how many appearances this is for them. I believe it's 30 something. Here, it's one of the top in all of college baseball. But the Cardinal are red hot right now. They took home that Pac-12 tournament final over the Oregon State Beavers last night. Army out of the Patriot League. They are going to the NCAA tournament for the 11th time in program history. They were last in it last year back in 2021. Tennessee out of the SEC, easily the hottest team in all of college baseball throughout the entire year, and that was no different going down to Hoover, Alabama, and into the SEC tournament for them. They take home the tournament final over Florida to get them into the NCAA tournament for the 13th time in program history. They'll be going back to the tournament once again, hoping to get back to Omaha as well, like they did in 2021. UNC Greensboro out of the Southern Conference. This will be their 5th NCAA tournament appearance after winning the Southern title. That's going to be 5 appearances now in history for the UNC Greensboro program. Congrats to them for their 5th return back to the field of 64. Southeast Louisiana Lions. They are out of the Southland Conference. They won their conference tournament, so that gets them into the NCAA tournament for the 7th time in program history, the first time in 5 years since they were last in the tournament back in 2017. Oral Roberts, one of the great mid-major programs in all of college baseball out of the Summit League. This will be their 30th NCAA tournament appearance after winning that conference tournament. They were last in the NCAA tournament back in 2018. Louisiana out of the Sun Belt Conference. This will be their 17th appearance in the tournament all time. They were last in the tournament back in 2016. Congrats to them for their conference crown. Bid stealer they were. Alabama State out of the SWAC. This would be the 3rd appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. Had 2 previously, last coming back in 2016. Mexico State out of the Western Athletic Conference. This would be their 6th NCAA tournament appearance after their conference tournament victory, and they were last in the tournament back in 2018. San Diego, the Toreros of the West Coast Conference. They are getting back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 9 years after winning their conference tournament, and it will be their 11th appearance in program history. So yeah, out of these teams that ultimately were essentially bid stealers here for the tournament this year. North Carolina, in a sense, is maybe you could consider them a de facto bid stealer in a sense. Well, we'll talk more about that in a second. A very interesting situation regarding the team that they defeated in the ACC tournament final. Michigan out of the Big Ten, they were the number 5 seed in the Big Ten tournament, ultimately defeating Rutgers in the tournament final to also be a de facto bid stealer there. Um, so Wolverines kind of playing a bit of a spoiler in that sense. Yeah, those were Louisiana out of the Sun Belt getting that. There were several here definitely that were bid stealers, all things considered. And then we're going to take a look then at the field of 64 here. I'll go ahead and share my screen for anybody that tunes into our live stream here to take a look at the field of 64 here using the resource of our friends at D1 Baseball. They don't sponsor us, but we always give them a shout out because they provide easily the best college baseball coverage there, and we should we just want to give them a props for that because of how much they help us cover it. So yeah, Tennessee, the Volunteers, to pretty much no one's surprise, who's been following this team overall for the year, 53-7 on the season. One of just the all-time great performances in college baseball in the regular season. They get the number 1 overall national seed. We're taking a look here across, from top to bottom here, seeds 1 through 16, and then going to be looking at them across who matches up on the other side of the bracket with them. So first off, with Tennessee, and once again with these national seeds here, 1 through 8 of national seed. If these teams win their regional, that puts them into being an automatic host for the super regionals. Should they move on to that point, hosting then the winner of the regional on the other side of the bracket. So Tennessee, number 1 team overall. They're going to have Alabama State on the other side there. Georgia Tech and Campbell, then the 2 and 3 seeds. Regionals are always double elimination. So you've got so you want to win your first game, get into the winners bracket. Otherwise, then you're going to be in the losers brackets, and then to ultimately take home the regional crown and win that regional. You're gonna have to then win twice there at the end to do that. So Tennessee and any other team hosting a regional is going to want to basically just want to go and get a clean sweep and keep winning without any losses to give themselves the best chance ultimately to win their regional. I just love Tennessee. They're going to be at home at Lindsey Nelson Stadium there in Knoxville. The place is an offensive park. Now, Georgia, I could see this being a Georgia Tech and Tennessee final. Though I think Tennessee definitely has the upper hand just in terms of the pitching that they've got. You look at guys like Chase Dollander, Chase Burns, Drew Beam. What these guys do in terms of the strong starting performances that they've had all year and the wins they've credited to them. All these guys keeping under a 3 ERA on the year. They're strikeout machines as well, especially guys like Dollander and Burns. I think not Oregon State, Georgia Tech has just really struggled in terms of their pitching throughout the year. They've really, it's kind of as unfortunately been for the case throughout this program's history, has really had to kind of bat their way of success. And you can do a lot of that with the postseason, but it makes it harder to advance on there. So I think that's going to be the case here, where Tennessee definitely has the upper hand. I expect them to really cruise through this regional, albeit definitely getting a bit of a challenge from Georgia Tech. On the other side of the bracket there, Georgia Southern in the Statesboro Regional, hoping to ultimately get that spot. They're going to have 4-seeded UNC Greensboro on that side of the bracket that they'll be facing up against, and then 2-seeded Notre Dame and 3-seeded Texas Tech. So my Red Raiders, Barronized Red Raiders, are headed on the road to Statesboro this year for regionals. Give me Give me Texas Tech as an upset here in this, and it's going to sound kind of homerish, but uh, I'm gonna just I'm just going to put it out there because I think that Tech definitely has a um, fair shot in this regional here. I think it's going to be an offensive friendly regional. I think you're going to get the best 1, 2, 3 performance out of Andrew Morris, Brandon Birdsell, and Chase Hampton that you've seen the entire year. I think there's going to be really good both power and situational batting that I think this park there at Statesboro that Georgia Southern has is going to lend well to Texas Tech being in that regional. I think you could see J.C. Young and the supporting cast of guys like Kurt Wilson, Parker Kelly, Stillwell, Easton Morrell, all those guys just having really strong performances out there. I think you're going to see top tier defense and fielding from them as well. Give me Texas Tech, albeit they're going to get that challenge from Notre Dame as well. Notre Dame just being a 2 seed is very surprising. They ultimately did not get a regional host up there in South Bend, and they've got some guys as well that can really do some damage, like like Brady Gumpf, Nick DeMarco, David LaManna, all guys with really solid batting averages. Brooks Katsey the third, 11 home runs in the year. Jack Zeiska, 10 home runs as well. They've got some guys on the mound there. John Michael Bertrand, 2.39 ERA on the year. Austin Temple with 3.19 ERA. Bertrand has 94 strikeouts. Temple has 78 strikeouts. So really good stuff to see out of Notre Dame there. Just unfortunately, they didn't get that regional hosting spot, which is probably pretty questionable. So I think they're gonna play Tech well, but I think Tech's gonna come out with the chip on their shoulder. And yeah, I'm gonna pick Texas Tech to come out of the regional and then ultimately go on the road to Tennessee to play in the Supers. Moving on down here to the Stanford regional out in Palo Alto. Stanford going to be the 1 seed in that regional, going up against Binghamton, number 4 at first. Texas State and UC Santa Barbara on the other side of the bracket. This is where my first upset alert I have coming here in terms of how regionals are going to work out here. I've got the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. I don't have the coming through and winning this regional here. I don't have the data to really give a great explanation, but it feels like every year in college baseball, there's one of these smaller mid-major West Coast schools that just does really well and has been grinding kind of below the radar all season long, and then comes out and plays their best ball all year and makes a really good run in the postseason. I have UC Santa Barbara as being that team, so give them to me over Stanford, albeit it's going to be a tough challenge. Stanford has been playing their best baseball all year, both in terms of power at the plate and then excellent pitching as well to back it up. But I have UC Santa Barbara, the Gauchos, going there into the farm and getting that upset victory. On the other side of the bracket, the Maryland Regional, College Park. Give me Maryland to get out of that regional and win it there. Their first ever regional that they're hosting. And I like them to ultimately match up then with UC Santa Barbara and the Supers. But I'll give more of my predictions around what I see coming from there later on when I get to my my Omaha 8 field that I'll talk about at the end here. Corvallis Regional, I don't see anybody beating Oregon State here when it comes to it. Oregon State, this team ultimately just stacked across the board, and they haven't gotten I feel like in the wake of teams like Tennessee and Stanford, they haven't gotten the attention I think they deserve, but they certainly deserve the attention that they do. Guys like Justin Boyd, Jacob Melton, Wade Meckler, Mason Guerra, all batting 373, 366, 354, and 349 respectively. Melton has 15 home runs on the year. Boyd 7. Garrett Forrester 7 home runs. These guys can steal bases quite a bit as well. Boyd is 23 on the year. Melton 19. Wade Meckler is 11 stolen bases. They play with power. They put the ball in motion. Like West Coast teams, also they can play small when necessary. there. Pitching wise, they certainly have the help that they need in that regard as well. Cooper Jerpy, 10 wins credited to him as a starter, 2.33 ERA and 140 strikeouts in the year. Jacob Matz, 3.89 ERA and also 64 strikeouts as well. Ben Ferrer with 71 strikeouts. Jaron Hunter with 37. This team just seems like they're playing all around great ball right now. And I don't think anybody goes into into Corvallis in either regionals or supers and beats this team. So make that as what you will, but we'll talk about that more once we get to talking about my Omaha 8 predictions. In the other side of the bracket, the Auburn Tigers in the Auburn Regional hosting this year. Auburn had a great season, but definitely is a little bit surprising to see them hosting just based on how they finished out the regular season. I believe it was 3 straight series losses, and then ultimately were an early exit out of the SEC tournament, being bounced by Kentucky. So to see them hosting here, even squeaking in as one of these lower national seeds here, just very surprising. And they've got a difficult bracket they're going to be going up against as well. So you got Auburn, starting out against Southeast Louisiana on that side of the bracket, 1 versus 4. Then UCLA and Florida State's on the other side of the bracket. Give me UCLA in this one. UCLA here, kind of a team that's had their ups and downs throughout the year, but I think they grind well, and they're the team to watch out for. Michael Currial, 326 batting average. Jake Palmer, 314 batting average. Kyle Karros of the Karros brothers, 310 batting average. Cody Schreier has 9 home runs on the year. Karros 5. And then Michael Currial has 5 home runs in the year as well. Stolen bases, you look at kind of some of the top numbers here. It definitely looks like kind of like a West Coast team that likes to put the ball in bases in motion and runners in motion here, and really play that sort of situational ball. Kenny Oyama, 20 stolen bases on the year. Schreier, 11. Pitching wise, they do a pretty decent job here. Max Radich has 8 wins on the year. Jake Brooks with 5, and then Kelly Austin with 4 wins. Radich is a 3.08 ERA, Brooks with a 3.96 ERA, and Kelly Austin with a 4.33 ERA. Radich has 91 strikeouts credited to him. Ethan Flanagan with 72, and then Austin with 67. This is a team I think they just grind out close games. Yeah, they put runners in motion. They may have some ERA troubles, but you'd like to see those ERA numbers lower. But they also get a lot of strikeouts too. Give me just comparative to Florida State and the Noles having more of just a very defensive heavy and pitching heavy type of team this year, and not the historically dominant Florida State offense to go with it. It's really kind of been the inverse. You usually think of Florida State as a very offensive heavy college baseball program, and then pitching, it's kind of like whatever you get with that is a nice addition. But they've just been really stout on the mound with guys like Parker Messick this year, anchoring that bunch. But I think UCLA has more of the ability to grind out a game and stave Florida State off from them. And I think, putting UCLA up against Auburn, I think there's just been a bit more consistency with UCLA this year, just overall comparative to Auburn and how they ended the season. So I like UCLA as the upset pick out of that to match up for a Pac-12 Super Regional with the Beavers and the Bruins once that comes around. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Moving on next to the Blacksburg Regional with the number 4 overall national seeded Virginia Tech Hokies. They are going to be matching up against the 4-seeded Wright State on that side of the bracket in their regional. Gonzaga and Columbia on the other side. I've got another upset alert here in this regional. I like Gonzaga to come out of here. Gonzaga's just been grinding all season as one of these mid-major programs. There, you got Dylan Johnson batting 365, Alec Gomez batting 333, Tyler Rando batting 330. Cade McGee has 9 home runs in the year. Rando has 7, and Xavier Pinales has 4 home runs for that team. Stolen bases, Pinales has been the stolen base king for this program with 16 on the year. Enzo Apodaca, 9 stolen bases, and then Tyler Rando with 5 as well. Pitching, Gabriel Hughes has really done a great job for them all year. Has been the anchor for that team. 2.84 ERA with 131 strikeouts. Owen Wild's done a pretty good job too, with a 3.31 ERA and 76 strikeouts in the year. Tristan Vreeling, 3.24 ERA. I'd like to see that be a bit lower, but he's also a strikeout machine with 99 strikeouts on the year. This looks like another one of these West Coast teams that can grind it out here once a regional comes around. I like Gonzaga to win that regional going into Blacksburg. They're going to be traveling far. Virginia Tech has had an incredible season. Virginia Tech definitely has power behind their bats. They have a great pitcher in Drew Hackenberg as well. But I think Gonzaga is once again can go in and just give them a little bit too much. And especially for a program, is hosting such a high profile regional like this for the first time in a long time. I believe it's 9 years since Virginia Tech hosted a regional back in 2013 under Pete Hughes' final season. So, give me the Bulldogs. Give me the Zags of that one. And then on the other side there, you've got the Gainesville Regional, the number 13 overall seeded Florida Gators. Florida going up against Central Michigan on that side of the bracket. And then you've got Oklahoma and Liberty, the 2 and 3 seeds going up against each other on the other side of the bracket. Oh man, that is just a difficult, brutal matchup for Florida to go up against. Brutal regional overall for Florida and the Gators. Florida had a great into the regular season, heading into the SEC tournament down in Hoover. Got to the tournament final against the Tennessee Vols, their SEC East rivals. But I like Oklahoma ultimately to get out of this regional and to win it. Oklahoma just has studs all across the team, offensively and defensively. Their pitching maybe is a little bit of a question for them, but I think they've really definitely been driven kind of by offense this year. But I think Oklahoma is just playing at such a high level right now overall. Tanner Treadway batting 359, John Spikerman batting 351, Payne Graham 339, Brett Squires 324. Graham has 16 home runs on the year. Jackson Nicholas with 9 home runs. Brett Squires and Tanner Treadway each with 6th. Graham has 30 stolen bases on the year. This is a team, they put a lot of guys in motion on a regular basis and steal a lot of bases. Payne Graham with 30 on the year. Tanner Treadway with 23 stolen bases. Ken Lopez, the sophomore out of Chicago, 21 stolen bases on the year. That guy is an absolute machine. It's like he's going to probably steal in the matter of an inning. If he's on base, man's going to go and steal second. And just a matter of seconds later, you better watch out because he's probably about to go steal third as well. He loves to get in motion. He's fast. He's athletic. He's been a great asset to that Sooner squad. Going to see him in person now for a couple of years against my Texas Tech Red Raiders. Really great young player. Pitching wise, you've got David Sandlin and Jake Bennett with 7 wins, credited them each this year as starters. 3.60 ERA for Jake Bennett. Chaz Martinez 4.77. David Sandlin with a 5.31 ERA. Yeah, they let a lot of guys on base, but they really do a good job of when the opposing team is getting on base. They're really stout defensively, reading things, activating the shift here, and stopping runs for getting across. Jake Bennett has 103 strikeouts in the year. Sandlin was 77. Trevin Michael was 76. Chaz Martinez was 64. That's an Oklahoma squad that I just don't want to face up against if I'm Florida. There, any of those other teams in that bracket. But we shall see. That's why we play the games here. Going down to the College Station Regional, Texas A&M, number 5 overall seed in the country, facing up against Oral Roberts on their side of the bracket, and then the 2 and 3 seed, respectively, TCU Horned Frogs and the Louisiana Lafayette Ragin' Cajuns. Tell you what, it's a toss-up for me. I'm fascinated here by the Schloss Bowl coming to College Station. Obviously, Jim Schlossnagle, the longtime TCU head coach, the man who really built that program out there in Fort Worth, after last offseason, making the move down to the Texas A&M Aggies. That's a complete toss-up for me. I have no conviction quite yet either way as to who. I believe it's going to come down to A&M and TCU for that regional final. Who ultimately wins it? I don't know. TCU, one of these controversial non-hosts as a 2 seed this year, won the Big 12 regular season, 16-8 overall in conference play, getting snubbed compared to the Oklahoma State Cowboys and the Texas Longhorns for hosting. But we'll see here. Once again, it's a toss up there on the Louisville side of the bracket. I like Louisville the way that they're playing at this point in the year. I think that they win that one. Got Chris Singh with a 364 batting average for the Cardinals. Jack Payne at 351 batting average. Isaac Humphrey with 335. Dalton Rushing is 21 home runs in the year. Ben Metzinger with 17. Cameron Masterman with 14. Levi Usher with 33 stolen bases. Christian Knapsick with 15 stolen bases. Metzinger with 10 stolen bases. And Isaac Humphrey with 10 stolen bases. Pitching wise, these guys do a pretty good job as well. Tate Kaner, 6 wins, credit to him. Jared Poland, 5 wins. Ryan Hawks with 5 wins. Jared Poland has a 2.92 ERA. Kaner with a 3.77 ERA. Poland with 91 strikeouts on the year. Kaner with 59, and Ryan Hawks with 57. I think in Louisville, that's a team. I think really that's a park they play at that really benefits them as the home team. I think they have the most probably the most complete squad there going up against comparatively teams like Southeast Missouri State, Oregon, and Michigan. So give me the Cardinal there to face up. By the way, with the either out in College Station or Fort Worth for a super regional, depending on how that College Station regional turns out. Moving on then to the Coral Gables regional. So I've got Miami coming out of that regional. I think that they've just played really well all year. They really kind of tying things up back again at the end of the year here to be the number 6 overall national seed. Then the other side of the bracket, you've got the Southern Miss Golden Eagles and the Hattiesburg regional hosting number 11 overall national seed. We got Army on their side of the bracket. LSU and Kennesaw State as the 2 and 3 seeds on the other side of the bracket. I really like Southern Miss here hosting. I think they get out of this regional easily. Dustin Dickerson, 340 batting average. Rodrigo Montenegro, 314 batting average. Christopher Sargent has 20 home runs. Will McGillis with 15 home runs. Carson Pato with 13. Dustin Dickerson has 6 stolen bases on the year. McGillis with 6, Pato with 4, and then Slade Wilkes with 4 stolen bases. Pitching really is what carries this team. They've got a very strong bunch pitching wise. Hunter Riggins with 8 wins on the year. Tanner Hall 8 wins. Hurston Waldrip with 6 wins. Tanner Hall is a 2.69 ERA. Hunter Riggins with a 2.75 ERA, and Waldrip with a 2.99 ERA. Hall has 130 strikeouts on the year. Waldrip with 117 strikeouts. I like this on the Miss group. I think they're gonna. I think you've got a strong offensive team like LSU coming in, but LSU definitely comparatively doesn't have the pitching. And in college baseball, the pitching really can get you there. So I think that's the advantage for Southern Miss coming down ultimately to a final there in that regional. Moving on then to the Stillwater Regional, the number 7 overall national seed, the Oklahoma State Cowboys hosting a regional for the first time at that beautiful O'Brate Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Man, this is a tough one. We've got the Oklahoma State Cowboys against the Missouri State Bears, 1 versus 4 on that side of the brackets, and then 2 versus 3. Arkansas, the Razorbacks going up against Grand Canyon. Arkansas did not have a strong finish at all to the regular season. And ultimately in the SEC tournament, Grand Canyon does not play in their conference final there ultimately. So just a very surprising kind of they tumbled down quite a bit in terms of where they could have been seeding wise in the tournament. Just kind of getting in as one of the last 4 teams in, I believe. But Grand Canyon is also still a very tough team. Top 50 RPI, swept our Red Raiders during the regular season in the midweek series. They play really good ball, and that's going to be a tough regional. But I like Oklahoma State, what they bring to the table overall. Talked about these guys: J.Q. Rakes Thompson with 349 batting average, Zach Earhart 335, John Day with a 324, Kanan Brumbaugh with 318, Nola McLean 14 home runs, Jake Thompson 14 home runs, Griffin Dorshing, his Dorsch bombs, 13 of those on the year for him. Earhart is 17 stolen bases, Caden Trinkle with 9, Houston Morrill with 7. Pitching wise, what this team has brought to the table, their ace Justin Campbell, guy's about to be a big leaguer. 9 wins, credited to him in the year as a starter. Roman Fansalker has been a great man in relief for him as well. Bryce Osmond, 4 wins credited to him as a starter. Justin Campbell, 3.44 ERA. Bryce Osmond, the 4.75. This team will walk some guys at times, but they're really good at getting guys out. Ultimately, Justin Campbell, 133 strikeouts on the year. That's ridiculous. Bryce Osmond, 77. Trevor Martin with 62 strikeouts. I just love overall how that Oklahoma State team is playing at this point of the year. And so I can see them very much getting out of their own regional and then putting themselves in position to host Supers. And then in the Chapel Hill regional on the other side of the bracket, the number 10 overall seeded North Carolina Tar Heels going up against Hofstra on the opposite side of their 4 seed on that side of the bracket. On the opposite side of the bracket, you've got the Georgia Bulldogs 2 seeded against the VCU Rams 3 seeded. Give me North Carolina to come out of that regional. I think that's just a very favorable one for the Tar Heels, especially how they're playing at this point of the year. The momentum that they have, and then ending it here, got the Greenville regional, the number 8 overall seeded East Carolina Pirates. Just an amazing run that they went on the second half of the year after a really rough start. Going to be going up against Coppin State, the 4 seed on the opposite side on that side of the bracket. On the opposite side of the bracket, you've got 2 seed Virginia and 3 seed Coastal Carolina going up against each other. What does East Carolina bring to the table? Lane Hoover with a 354 batting average. Jacob Jenkins Cowart with 327 batting average. Zach Agnos with a 324 batting average. These guys have got some power as well, too. Bryson Worrell with 14 home runs on the year. Jenkins Cowart with 12 home runs. Alec Makarovitz with 9 home runs on the year. Sorry, all my allergies are getting to me a little bit here. Lane Hoover, 12 stolen bases for him. Bryson Worrell, 9 stolen bases. Zach Agnes, 7 stolen bases for him. Pitching wise, these guys can get it done as well. Carter Spivey, 7 wins, credited to him. Garrett Saylor, 6 wins. Spivey with a 2.42 ERA. CJ Mayhew with a 2.90 ERA. Saylor has 96 strikeouts in the year. Spivey with 68 strikeouts, and Mayhew with 64. Give me East Carolina coming out of that regional. And then on the opposite side there, you've got the Texas Longhorns, the number 9 overall national seed, playing themselves in the hosting with a very strong performance in that Big 12 tournament, runner-up there. And they'll have Air Force, the Falcons. It's the 4 seed on that side. They're going up against on that side of the bracket. The 2 and 3 seed Louisiana Tech Bulldogs against the Dallas Baptist Patriots. I've got Louisiana Tech. I think on upsetting Texas here in the Austin Regional. I think just there's more. Texas just doesn't quite have the consistency offensive wise and the relief pitching. I think to get them through that bracket, I've got Louisiana Tech ultimately winning that and making for a really interesting super regional there in Greenville against the Pirates and the Bulldogs. So with there were some notable teams that got left out here, out of the tournament. That the most notable of all of them being the NC State Wolfpack, who strong had a pretty decent end to the regular season, and the Wolfpack were number 32 overall in the RPI, finishing going here into selection day 36-21. What though had just had a 181 ranked strength of schedule overall in the country. Um, and they miss out. Like they were the runner up in the conference tournament final there against North Carolina, and just a very, very odd situation, them being left out. I mean, as Aaron Fitt from D1 called it earlier on his ultimate reaction, like it was like a guillotine coming out of nowhere here. And I absolutely think that the Wolfpack 100% got screwed over for it. It's a long story as to what the committee chair who was talking about earlier on the show, but I think it just came from like the whole body of work that they looked at, just put them on the wrong side of things there. But I don't agree with that. I think North Carolina State was playing as well as any team in the country by the end there. And somebody like Tommy White and Tommy Tanks himself, who was really kind of the star for that program. It's just like a big brand name that you bring into the NCAA tournament wherever that team goes. Just it's a shame to leave them out. I think it was unfortunate. Team like West Virginia being left out, really disappointing to see that. You've got Houston just barely missing it. Wofford being left out. Yeah, some tough decisions that were made here. Rutgers as well. Rutgers, I feel like should have been a lock just the way that they played from beginning to end. I don't agree with them being left out with that situation where Michigan was basically a bid stealer with winning the tournament. Yeah, unfortunate all around there. When it comes to my predictions here for the Omaha 8, my predictions are as it stands. And next week, I will have this updated again. Obviously, based on how regionals turn out and what it looks like going into super regionals. But my Omaha 8 predictions, as it stands right now, are the following. I've got Tennessee, UC Santa Barbara, Oregon State, Gonzaga, Louisville, Southern Miss, Oklahoma State, and East Carolina. So like I said, I don't see anybody being Tennessee at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Love I love the feeling of my Red Raiders going in there into the Super Regionals again for the second year in a row. However, I don't see them getting past Tennessee. Like, Tech and Tennessee, there might be a lot of lining up the scoreboard back and forth. It might short circuit at some point with all the runs being put on the board. But I like Tennessee to be able to get out of their own regional, and they're playing with house money right now to be able to win it all. If we're thinking Tennessee versus the field, that's another story. We can discuss that later on. But in terms of getting to Omaha right now, give me Tennessee. UC Santa Barbara, like I talked about, I see them winning that regional at Stanford there as an upset. Give me Maryland against UC Santa Barbara. What I think ultimately that means that Maryland, I believe, would then be hosting for Supers as well. But I could see UC Santa Barbara just barely ruining a Cinderella story for Maryland there. For Supers, once again, don't see anybody going into Corvallis, being Oregon State playing as well as anybody right now. Oregon State going to Omaha for my picks right now. Gonzaga, ultimately, that would probably have them hosting Oklahoma based on what we talked about earlier there in the Supers. And Oklahoma's dream season, I think, will come just short there comparative to Gonzaga having just a little bit better overall staff that they're working with. So Gonzaga, my fourth pick there. Louisville, I've got whether they go into College Station or Fort Worth for a super. I have Louisville Louisville getting the job done this year and going back to Omaha. Southern Miss gets to Omaha this year. I think that they can go into Miami and be an upset team there. Supers, Oklahoma State, they are. I think no matter out of that Chapel Hill Regional, whoever they ultimately end up hosting, I could see Stillwater. Yeah, I could see Oklahoma State as being an Omaha team. Picked them earlier in the year, picking them again. And then East Carolina, I believe, was also one of my Omaha picks from earlier in the year. Also gets the nod here in that Greenville region, in that super regional when that comes around, based on what I'm projecting right now. I believe they go up against the Bulldogs. I believe they get the job done. So I'll have that update again next week. Hopefully, Boom will be back with me to talk about it then as well once we see things as it gets into supers at that point. But yeah, so it's been when we look at teams, just circling back one more time, we look at teams that did not make it. The committee this year for college baseball here, selecting the field of 64 for regionals, really seemed to put a premium both on RPI and strength of schedule. And when it comes to that with the entire body of work, on the side of look at the entire body of work, they really also put a premium on series wins as well. So, looking at these teams that had great conference records, but, finished out the year weaker in terms of some notable series loss at the end of the year and having more questionable RPIs and streaks of schedules, that put them on the wrong side of the bracket, unfortunately. So so RPI, for those that don't follow college sports a whole lot, that is rating percentage index. And basically, yeah, it looks at here, just pulling this straight from Wikipedia. Wikipedia being the great, incredibly reliable source that it is. That's sarcasm there. But it could be good for referencing some things, especially knowing the context of it. And the Wikipedia definition gets it right here. So the rating percentage index, commonly known as the RPI, is a quantity used to rank sports teams based on a team's wins and losses and its strength of schedule. So the RPI was just all over the place this year. That's what it came down to with all this controversy with the RPI and seeding and how the committee viewed things, teams, who's in and who's out and where they went, who's hosting, whatnot in the tournament this year. And in a lot of years past, it's really, we kind of scream from the rooftops. It's like, hey, the RPI is a tool, but a tool doesn't always get the entire job done. You've got to have know-how within like the context of what you're working with. I could have a hammer, I could have screws, I could have nails, I could have a monkey wrench, I could have all these things that are in my arsenal here when I'm working on a project. But if I don't know how to actually do the project itself, those tools really don't get me anywhere. In a very loose analogy, it's the same way when it comes to RPI in college sports. It's like a catch-22 here of saying you're about the entire body of work, but not at the same time, not fully contextualizing the body of work as a whole in terms of what happened in college baseball this year. So yeah, just like a commonality of where the RPI issues, strength of schedule issues came in. It's just like you just saw a year of some teams that we expected to do very well, did not do well at all. And then some teams that, we didn't exactly expect to do well, ended up doing very well at the end of the year, including some bid stealers in the conference tournaments that knocked teams that were on a certain side of the bubble on the wrong side, ultimately be left out of regionals this year. And it's unfortunate that it happened that way. But yeah, the NCAA committee didn't, I think, fully always see that and weigh that accordingly here. And especially in context of, seeing a lot of teams in regards to those teams, we didn't expect that to do real well that did well, and the teams that we expected to be much better than they were, just having not great seasons. Inevitably, a lot of those teams meet up at different times of the year, and so that puts things for better or for worse. In terms of what sometimes is in your control, sometimes is not in your control, especially in terms of non-conference scheduling against each other. And inevitably that factors into what these metrics come out to for how these teams' schedules are seen. And then also the number of midweek wins and midweek losses that you saw, just that were really a commonality of, higher ranked teams dropping midweek games to lower ranked, if not ranked teams altogether. A lot of mid-major teams coming in and spoiling the party for these midweek games versus major teams and ranked teams there. So you just had a lot of teams that, were right up against each other in terms of total win wise there in the country. But then little things separated the RPI there. So number one overall RPI, Tennessee, 38th strongest strength of schedule, but the non-conference strength of schedule was only 210th there. But there was never a question with Tennessee because they went 25-5 in the SEC this year, and then we're 53-7 overall in the entire country. Oregon State, the Beavers, right there at number 2, 44-15, 13th strength of schedule, and then 15th non-conference strength of schedule. Number 1 non-conference RPI in the country. But I'm kind of rambling on here. I'm pulling the top 2 teams who are firmly in there. I'll do yourself a favor. Google Warren Nolan, baseball 2022 RPI. Take a look at that list. Kind of like if you're a stats head, a numbers person, you just take a look through there. Even if not, give it a shot. See kind of like what we're talking about here with an RPI and how some of this stuff worked out in just like a very convoluted manner. And fortunately, we've heard some teams and kind of made for some questionable decisions seeding wise here in the tournament this year. It's unfortunate. Hopefully some changes are made to better understand and contextualize an entire body of work and like what was in control and not in control for teams going into the next college baseball season. I feel like there was just a lot of stuff that was exposed with it this year. Well, friends, that's really all I've got to talk about here with college baseball this week. Don't want to take too much of y'all's time. I want to go and get on with the day here. Let y'all get back to it, enjoying your Memorial Day off, whatever else you've got going on in life. Boom and I will be back on the stream tomorrow night, talking about Major League Baseball as we normally do, giving you a recap for the previous week there. We've got a really cool interview coming up on Wednesday night. We will preview that a little bit later on and kind of leave that as a surprise until it rolls around. You've got a couple more chances to hang with us, more chances here to download our show for the coming week. For this week, and we will see y'all again very soon before we peace out here for the day. Just asking y'all to do some things here as we're wrapping up the show. First and foremost, go ahead and subscribe to No Doubter wherever you get your podcasts if you're not already. Google, Apple, Spotify, really ultimately wherever you can find podcasts. No Doubter's there. We don't want you to miss out on any episodes. That also includes our YouTube channel as well. If you go to YouTube and search No Doubter Podcast, you'll see us there as well. YouTube being one of the channels that helps us bring this show in live stream video form now. I know you don't come for Boom and I's beautiful faces, but we give it to you anyways here with it. So it's a perk. Maybe it's a deterrent. However, which way you view us, we've got this option here with the video function, and we'd love to have you subscribe there so you can be able to catch us on YouTube as well. Go ahead and give us a review. Let us know how you've enjoyed the show to this point. Like us on Facebook. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram, both at No Doubter Pod. Boom and myself are also on Twitter at BoomBossSticks21 and at Travis Lawfully, respectively. Love to have you following us wherever you are, so that way you don't miss out on anything that's going on in No Doubter and in our takes on all things baseball. Join our Patreon. Take a look at that. We've revamped some of our levels that we have in there. got the prospect, rookie, veteran, and legend tiers, all with different things that are included in them. We would love to start building a no doubter community there. We want to give a couple of shout outs to people who have been part of our no doubter here in this first year of the podcast. That includes our longest standing patron, Mr. Tad Bostic, and our Patreon producer, Mr. Don Hale. When you're part of our Patreon community, you get shout outs from being part of making the show possible. So yeah, you want to be shouted out on a regular basis, you join Patreon, and it's a really cool perk that comes with it. It's not the only perk. We've got multiple perks that are part of it, but you can take a look at all of that. Take a look at our merch store. We've got t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, baseball shirts, crew neck sweatshirts, phone cases, many more items that our partner at TeePublic has put together there. Really soft, comfortable shirts. I believe they're canvas shirts, so it doesn't feel like you're wearing a cardboard box on your body. We've done a great job of putting our merch store together. We would love for you to check it out. Help us recoup some costs. You'll see all the important links for what I just talked about in the description below. We thank you all for joining us on another great episode of No Doubter. As always, with all that you're doing in your life, in the spirit of regionals coming up here for the college baseball season, and what these guys that are from all 64 teams that are going to be out on the field are aiming to do all the time. Bet 400 and always swing for the fences. We love you all. We will see you all again tomorrow night for Major League Baseball coverage, and back here again next week for college baseball coverage. Take care, friends.